how every single one that hit is exactly
welcome back to the Abundant Harvest Homestead. Welcome back to the Abundant Harvest Homestead, everyone. I am Papa Pepper. It is now the morning after. I am pretty haggard. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably about a Merle. And that's why I'm wearing these sunglasses right now. It's bright out here. It hurts my eyes. I have coffee. I have roosters that look like that too somewhere. I'm tired. It's funny to me. But I want to do this video for a number of reasons. Number one, I want to document this so that I remember exactly kind of when and where, because it's important to me. Another thing is, I think it'll help some of you potentially think outside the box a little as you try to balance the obligations and responsibilities of life, and I guess just kind of I would say resist some of the unfortunate status quo that's become commonly accepted and prevalent in our societies these days. That's part of it. And then just to kind of share some more of our life, how we do things, why things work out for us the way that we do, with kind of that underlying message of, well, two of them probably. Number one, you don't want to get your fingers slammed in the window of opportunity. You want to make sure when you have the opportunity, that's when you go. You strike the hammer when the iron is hot, which probably comes from blacksmithing. And the other part is that you get out of things what you put into them. If you're just lazy and passive and unmotivated and unwilling to go above and beyond in any given situation, you're gonna fall short, and you'll suffer to some degree for it. Maybe not, physically or financially, other things, but it's not gonna work out as well for you as it could have. I didn't build this for a video backdrop. It's just a pile of lumber I'm trying to sit on. But to start off this story, yes, I was up till about 5 in the morning working hard to provide for my family. The way that I was providing is what I will call direct as opposed to indirect. Direct in the fact that I was the one cutting out the middleman. There's still expenses involved, like the fact I took a drive with my vehicle, the fact I had the resources purchased ahead of time, and I had to buy a license to do it. But it still falls in the category, I believe, of self-sufficiency, this direct type of provision. An indirect way would be me exchanging my time away from my family for some money that then I give a portion of that away in taxes, take the remainder, and then go buy food with it. Okay, part of my provision as the earthly provider for my family, I say earthly for a reason, is that not only spiritual, it's not only with shelter and clothing, but it's also with food. Food is one of those important things to us, so I try to keep an eye on the lake. Lake is Lake Bull Shoals. It's a big lake. I want to really learn the lake and kind of move through the seasons with the lake. Right now, in this area, we're learning how to kind of go with the seasons. Now's the time where we've been eating redbud flowers and the greenbrier is just starting. The chickweed and the purple dead nettle and the henbit are kind of fizzling out. The lamb's quarter is starting to grow. There's just things in the natural world that when you work with them, you get the most out of them because you know who's going on what and where. And that's part of it down by the lake, is there comes a time when the carp will be spawning. And when they do, I am going to shoot piles of those carps and I'm going to can them. And the reason I'm going to do that is that, to me, I'm not buying canned tuna or canned salmon, I don't believe, ever again. When we make our carp salad, much like you'd make a tuna salad, it tastes amazing, very similar. We shared with a couple people, and the last 2 different families we shared with, they said, this tastes better than tuna salad. They liked it better than tuna salad, and a lot of times, you know, you have to stick with what you're familiar to really enjoy it. The second you change a variable, it's like, oh, that's not the way my mom made it, or that's not what I grew up on, but they both said it tasted better. The other thing is I grew up with a lot of like salmon loaf and salmon patties as a kid. Kind of like meatloaf, but made with fish, made with the salmon. Wow, carp loaf is absolutely amazing. I haven't seen the carp yet. I could have. You know, last year I was canning carp at this point. It's been a little bit cooler. But even though I don't see the carp by day, I know that the carp running by day and the sucker fish running by night kind of overlap. At least they were in previous years. So I thought, you know, well, maybe the suckers are moving in already. I went out last night at about 11 o'clock. So 11 o'clock Saturday night, I grabbed my 8-year-old daughter, Red Pepper, grabbed a couple of bows and a couple of buckets, a couple of flashlights, and we just went down by the lake to explore and to figure it out. When we got there were some other people fishing with a campfire across the way. There was a boat bow fishing. I didn't see really any activity from them. And we began to work our way up a tributary because the fish will swim out of the lake, up into the streams, and they'll spawn up there. And when we got to about knee-deep water as we're heading up and it's decreasing in depth, we started seeing that there were some suckers, and I'm taking shots and I'm missing like crazy. I mean, you're shooting fish maybe this long, about that deep, through 2 or 3 feet of water. It's difficult if you haven't shot a fish in like a year, which is the state of being that I was in. Hey baby, you wanna come say hi? Come here, you. And as we continued, we went through a little series of rapids, and then we got into this big flat spot, which was about maybe 6 to 8 inches of water, and they were pretty much everywhere. So at that point, we really began to stick them. I was shooting them for the first while, and then I handed the bow off to my daughter, who was 9, who had never been bow fishing before. And I have a child's bow, but you can only turn it down so far. So even for a built homestead tough, you know, 9-year-old girl, it was still difficult, but she was doing it and sticking some. She was missing some. She was bouncing some off where she didn't hit them hard enough. But we got a good load last night, and we didn't get back home till about 2 in the morning. Even with her learning curve and trying, you know, she just kept at it for over an hour herself, of just one after another. She'd shoot, whether she missed or bounced off or hit one, she'd pull it in, head up again, and go back out there. And, you know, she put in a lot of effort, which was really cool to see. And then in the end, you're gonna head down? You're out, or you want to be with me? And then in the end, we came home with pretty much 2 5-gallon buckets full of sucker fish. She stayed with me for like the first 3 I filleted, holding a light for me. Then I just strapped a flashlight to my head. I filleted up the rest of them. Monster Truck woke up from his sleep, I think, to use the bathroom, saw I was outside, so he came and talked to me for a bit. He'll probably try tonight. Pinky Pepper is probably going to try tonight. Spend some time with the girls out in the swamp last year trying to bow fish. Monster Truck, not yet. But, you know, Pinky Pepper has yet to stick her first fish, so that might happen tonight. But it's just a way that, hey, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you've got a bunch of large fish up in very shallow water at your feet, and you can just, you know, they're right there. You can shoot them with your bow. A couple years ago, I didn't even know how to bow fish. It was something that was unknown to me, but I realized that I could generate a lot of food for the family. And here's the thing. I can sit there, okay, carp are easier because they're during the day. It's easier to fit in your schedule if you're awake during the day. If you go out and have a good successful night of shooting the suckers, then you're up till who knows what time in the middle of the night. This time it was 5 o'clock in the morning. But I filleted them all up. I cut them all up. I washed them and rinsed them and got them ready for canning. We have not at this point canned suckerfish. I've eaten them a number of ways. We haven't canned them yet. And I know that my ancestors and back through the generations would pickle them up in Wisconsin. I love pickled herring. I'm looking forward to pickling my first suckers ever. If you guys have a good pickling recipe for suckerfish, let me know. Leave it in the, you see something going on? Oh wow, there's a worm. You can go throw that in the pond if you want. Hey Bugger, Bugger. Your sister found a worm and she wants to throw it in the pond. Do you want to head up with her? And hold her by the hand and walk her to the pond and back? Thank you, my son. But the main thing is, I take being a provider seriously, but I want to provide not by leaving my family for almost their entire life. That's not the way that I want to provide, is just being absent. I want to be here. And if I can go out with my daughter, or in this case, I'm probably taking 4 kids if the whole family doesn't come. The whole family might come tonight. I'm gonna take 4 of them, and we're gonna go try to stock up on a year's supply of canned fish. I think that would be awesome. I think that would be marvelous. Now, to go and purchase a year's supply of canned fish, you know, I would have to leave my family, earn money, you know, the traditional way, have some of the money taken away by the government in taxes, and then whatever's left, you know, spend on fish. I don't want to live life that way. Is it more effort to sit there and take the drive, sit there in the middle of the night in the cold water, shooting all these fish, come home, clean them all up, and can them all up and all that stuff? Sure, I think it is more effort than a lot of jobs I've done. There's been some jobs that pretty much, you know, when they get smart enough, they can make a robot to do them, but in the absence of a robot, I can sit there mindlessly and, you know, assemble things or do things. Yeah, that's not a lot of effort to earn that money sometimes, which is why sometimes it takes a lot longer to earn the amount you need, because of the lower wages for less labor-intensive work. But I don't know, I wanted to document this so that I know, you know, one way I can do is look at the canned fish from last year. I think I had some from 412, from 420, from 518. I think it was, you know, a stretch like that where we were getting carp, and they never really peaked or crested last year like they did the year before. The year before they were everywhere, and it got nice and hot, and the water level was great at the lake, and for a long, you know, for a long time we could just hit them continually like crazy. Last year was more drawn out because it kept getting cold, it kept raining. I'm not sure what's happening. I haven't seen them moving up. The only carp I saw, I caught off the bridge fishing with my son, but we haven't seen any up in the shallows yet myself. I gotta start talking to some more bow fishermen too, because gar is my favorite fish to eat right now. I love eating gar, and a lot of people just shoot them and kill them and don't do anything with them. So if I could get those fish and actually use them to feed my family rather than have them waste them, that would be absolutely awesome. So I've got a long day ahead of me, got some stuff going on. I did catch like 5 hours of sleep, which is good. I'll catch up for it later, but you know, tonight is another night where I'm gonna head out and do this. And nice thing too is doing it in colder weather. The possibility of venomous snakes being where we are bow fishing is decreased. I've seen the largest cottonmouth ever that I've ever seen when I was out bow fishing a couple years ago. So in this case, to sit there and doing a little colder weather, it's a little safer, but all of my children, we're working very hard to train them to be extremely aware of their surroundings and to identify things, to understand things, to know the workings of things, so that way if we're out in an environment like that, they're able to kind of navigate it a little better, to know that, you know, there could be life-threatening venomous snakes right here at your feet. You know, pay attention as you're excited and shooting at fish and doing these things. If we don't instill that from a young age, they might not make it to an old age, is kind of the part of it. But we've seen them here before, we've seen them there before, we've seen them there, you know, cottonmouths, copperheads. So even just living anywhere where they live, you got to be aware. We found multiple snakes in some pretty decent cities, pretty far in the cities. So even that doesn't really get you away from the possibility. But long story short, I'm tired. but I worked hard to do what I did for my family, and I'm gonna continue to for this season. Just like there's only a certain season out of the year I can get deer meat for my family. There's only a certain amount of time I can get this particular canned fish this easy, so I'm gonna hit it hard, and then I can sit back and look at what we've got stored up and say, yes, we've succeeded. We're gonna make it through the next year with all this food waiting for us and ready to go. And then when we gotta prepare it, all we gotta do is open it up, dump it out in the thing, mix it up a little bit, shape it, add a couple things into it, you know, shape it and say, all right, there we go, fish loaf. Or sit there and heat it up in a pan, dice up some onions and pickles and add some mayo and stuff when it cools, mix it up, make a bunch of, you know, fish salad sandwiches like tuna fish sandwich, you know, and the effort we put into it now makes it easier in the future, and it gives us that hedge of protection with food security by, like I said, direct provision, by knowing how to go from this property down to that lake and come home with a pile of fish. So I will leave you with a couple of nice pictures from last night. Just the catch. We didn't do any filming or take any pictures out at the lake. But once Bugger signs us off, I'll roll that for you guys to enjoy. And we'll see you next time. Papa out.
Thank you for watching.